Brian Bechert, VP of FreeNav. Brian, go ahead.
Great. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, I can see you, and I can see your presentation. Go to presentation mode, please.
How's that?
Perfect.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, first of all, I appreciate the opportunity to be presenting today. Thank you to InnovatorMD and obviously Wavemaker 360. This is exciting for us to share some recent developments at FreeNav, not only what we're doing, but how we're doing it. And in the spirit of the Congress, I want to hit a human side of this, I think, that I've heard little bits of today, but I want to make sure that we underscore the importance of what it means to each of us as we're moving this exciting technology forward. So likely everyone on this call has a family member or a close friend that's undergone a surgical or a medical procedure. And in that, you expect that the clinician or the physician has the best tools to do their job. And that's not always the case, especially in this multi-decade trend of minimally invasive surgeries. Some of the navigation and tracking technology just frankly isn't keeping up. And what we're seeing, unfortunately, is often a number of shortcomings that I'm highlighting here. That with the current wired electromagnetic tracking, unfortunately, this isn't actually a human on the table, so I'll point that out. But there's a challenge with the form factor of it being wired. It's difficult to integrate these wired sensors. They're expensive, often fragile. They break during manufacture. And the number one thing we're hearing from our partners and customers today is the significant metal interference that is a result of having those wired sensors in the field. Optical tracking is actually not without its challenges either. So in clinical specialties such as orthopedics, they're unable to use EM quite often because of the amount of metal within their implants and tools. And so they opt to use optical tracking. And that also has its limitations. It requires a line of sight. You're not able to take a sensor into the body, for example. They're susceptible to bumping the camera that's our cameras that are in the room that provide that calibration and that location information. And frankly, a lot of the tools and the resulting frames that are used with the tools are just incompatible for some of the minimally invasive procedures. Some have gone as far as to actually try to combine the two technologies to lessen the shortcomings, and in many cases that only exacerbates it. So at FreeNav, we're taking an approach where we're trying to eliminate these very fine wires that you see on a commercial sensor that's out in the market today. This wire is actually, it could be 6 to 8 feet long, and it threads back to another piece of equipment. What FreeNav is doing is something considerably more elegant and simple, especially from a workflow perspective. Jay mentioned earlier the importance of trying to work toward a higher productivity in healthcare. And this is an example of how we can do that for hospitals as we're able to task shift some of the responsibilities that are involved with getting patients set up for a procedure. Um, it's important to note at this point that FreeNav is not producing a navigation system, but we are providing the capability or the engine that powers these navigation systems through these tiny wireless powerless tags. And if you can still see my camera, here's an example of that. It really resembles a piece of Christmas tree tinsel. It's something it's especially easy to integrate, and it's this simple. Medical device manufacturers are really excited about the prospect of using these, building them into their devices. This isn't something that requires its own FDA clearance. It's a sensor that's incorporated into their end device. And so there are a number of different ways we can do that. And what I just showed was an example of how we can attach a single tag to a rigid instrument. Of course, you might consider what happens if you attach it to flexible instruments or multiple tags to flexible instruments. And pretty quickly, you can envision how you're getting a considerably higher level of fidelity with the tracking and the pose and position of that instrument. So our system is very simple. It consists of a field generator that creates a sensing field. This is in proximity to a patient. Right here, we're showing it underneath the patient table. The tags that are in that sensing field that are attached to either devices, implantables, tools, and instruments, as well as even the patient as fiducial or anatomical markers. And then very simply, a card, an interface card today, the way it stands, is something that then allows it to integrate with other visualization and navigation systems. So what we're doing is eliminating a couple of components that are part of the current um, commercial release products that are system interface units and system control units. So again, reducing complexity. So far, so the current state of where we are, as of 6 weeks ago, we were able to begin socializing our first prototype unit. And so this is, we had a setup locally in the Twin Cities here at the MedTech MVP conference. We're able to demonstrate the system capabilities in front of 8 different groups. We had venture capitalists and strategics come through and give us some very strong and confirming feedback that this is that we're on track with our development. The following week, we were able to take it on the road, and actually, as we were making a trip through California and meeting some of the most recognized companies in AI, compute, and augmented reality, we were able to stop by Pasadena to demo this to Jay and Monica. And so what you're seeing here is our unit in use. The person just attached a metal bone screw to our tag, which is embedded in this little capsule. And what it's showing is something truly extraordinary, that there isn't any metal interference that is stopping the tracking of this tag. We have a single tag that we're showing. You can see it on the screen. Very simple interface. This is really a prototype to show the magic, frankly, that the physics actually works as expected. So really exciting. We're grateful to have that opportunity to do that. So wanted to show a real life example, and again, an opportunity to continue to partner and grow. And what this has yielded is our additional opportunities like this to put it in front of you all, but also to reach into their Wavemaker 360's portfolio and network, and to leverage some of what we believed was a really good match when they invested and have decided to lead our seed round this past year. So just a quick note on the business model. We're a little different in how we're looking at this. Instead of doing a pay per product or pay per widget, we're really looking at the value of the enablement that we provide the medical device and clinical imaging manufacturers. So FreeNav is a B2B business, and those are our customers. We talk a lot about clinicians and about their input and feedback, which is fundamental to what we're doing. But at the end of the day, we're working with these med device and clinical imaging companies as our partners, but frankly, where we're ultimately selling our product. We are pre-revenue. I want to mention that. And so today, those partnering opportunities are really around development partnerships and the LOIs that we have in place that I'll speak to in just a moment. So just a note here quickly, there's a lot of value in not going with the route of just selling widgets, but looking at the recurring licensing fees and some of the ARR that's possible through this. And we really see a strong play in the data insights and how we can monetize some of that. And we've had very recent conversations on just what the opportunities are in that area. So as you might expect, the FreeNav is not specific to a clinical specialty. This can be used across the board. And just to show that there is enough market demand on this, pretty significant addressable market. If you look at even those 3 listed there, ortho in of itself, there are nearly 8 million annual procedures a year where FreeNav's technology can be used. So we're really excited about how this takes shape and the entrance into that. I think it was John who touched on human-centered design earlier, and I want to do the same. I've been spending my time really talking about both the technical and business aspects of HCD, but really I want to end, and with this last slide, to talk about the human desirability. This is something that we've continued to refresh on, and it's important as we have these strong partnerships that we do that. I was intentional about scrubbing the logos of some of the partnerships we have on this deck, but the one I did leave is Wavemaker, just because of the significance of what they're providing here. So not only as an investor and providing capital, but with Monica as our board member and as a practicing physician. So important to continue to do that. As you'd expect, the commercial partners, especially the early adopters that we have our letters of intent with, are fundamental to this. And we're working with not only the inventors, but the top electromagnetic design experts in the world. Lastly, just quick, our team is very well suited to be doing this. We've got a great mix of both technical, clinical, business, and so forth. And so the last slide, just our targeted evaluation is taking place with these users, and I'll let you read this, but they range from experts in clinical imaging in academic institutions all the way through the most recognizable and largest med device and clinical imaging companies. So our next steps are to continue advancing the technology, move these commercial partnerships forward, and really in a cyclical fashion, refine the product and specialize toward the clinical use cases I've shown. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Brian. If you can. All right. Let's bring the judges back. Any first questions? Martina?
Can you please elaborate on your team?
Sure. Yeah, so our team, again, all deep background. We have a biomedical engineer with a strong technical business degree. So the team I showed you, all three of those individuals are co-founders of FreeNav. I'm the operator, and so I've been with FreeNav almost from the beginning, so about 4 years. And then we've got a technical team that we have an exclusive contract with. That is an actual it is an entity that has nearly 350 technical members, PhD scientists, engineers on our team. Specifically, at any one time, we'll have 10 to 12 people actively working on this program. They're applied mathematicians and computational physicists, and frankly, the right people to be doing this work. So that is actually a blessing to us. And as you might expect, between fundraising rounds and cases where we need to adjust the burn a little bit, we're able to do that very easily with this team.
Great.
Thank you.
Faye, did you have a question?
I have a question. Could you talk a little bit more about your royalty model that you're thinking as far as your revenue and?
Yeah, great question. So what we've been able to pressure test is a model that a local med device company in the Twin Cities here is currently using with a number of studies, and it has a revenue share associated with it because of the additional capabilities that are added from the technology and from the contribution of the partner. And it's something that might surprise you. In fact, it's a 1090 model. So this med device company is only capturing 10% of the delta in the revenue uptick, and which is significant. And that partner entity is holding on to 90% of that. So we've done some modeling and pressure testing of a scenario that would be something closer to a 25-75 with that same company using specific products, and have some very, very solid contract values that are north of $10 million ARR. So that's something that we're pursuing right now. As I showed already, advancing that technology to the point of getting our signed LOIs as we have, and then moving forward into those partnerships. I think that will begin to take shape and allow us to validate that a little more closely. But the early look is really promising, and it's already a model that's being used.
Great. Any other questions?
Yeah, Brian, how does it work or not work in the current state of the world of robotic surgery, and then maybe the future state of the world of robotic surgery?
Yeah, very good question. some of the conversations that we've had recently, Jay, indicate that it's a little bit slower uptake, I think, by just due to some of the complexity with robotics. We envision today, there's opportunity to merge into traffic of what's already happening with the current state of some of the robotic systems of the names that we would expect. There's a little redundancy and just locating the positional information that our sensor provides, and so less probably through human-driven procedures. I think it's probably less valuable, but as we get into more of the autonomous robotics, I think there are greater opportunities there. That's one area that we've explored, and I think especially when we start talking about flexible tools, that's probably where we're seeing the greatest demand right now, flexible robotic tools, because we have the ability to, again, place a sensor every 2 centimeters if we wanted it along a tool, versus the current market available products that are wired are, considerably more costly, more fragile, and with that wired form factor, make it difficult to use more than 1 or 2 sensors. And so that also extends into consumable products, right? Which is really enticing when we start talking about even lower resourced environments and being able to expand into other markets. But that robotics piece, I think, is probably a more mature example of where we intend to go, which is swapping out existing wired EM systems and then moving into fields like or specialties like orthopedics, where it's currently not being used.
Great. Thank you very much, Brian.
Thank you.
All
Appreciate it.
right.